Right, that's the recording. And Aaron, if you can unmute, and please, the meeting is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name's Aaron and I am an addict. And yeah, I totally agree. That was so beautifully read. So beautifully read. Um, Shout out to all the guys that have joined us on Zoom and the guys out there as well. Where are they in? What's the place called?
Whitport in Johannesburg, Aaron.
Johannesburg. It's so good to see you guys. So good to see you guys. And last time I did this bit of service, I was just I was talking about having the golden ticket and being in Narcotics Anonymous. Like, this is an absolute gift. It's not about me. It's about us. For us to meet up and to be able to get one day clean is an absolute miracle. It's a miracle that nobody is pressing the unmute button and stopping me. It's a miracle that you guys are all sitting in the room and no one's standing up or interrupting. Because think about it, like, society classes us, some of society, as the lowest of the low, completely unmanageable, crazy, people that you couldn't have around your children, people that you wouldn't want to bring inside your home. Yet we can sit down in a meeting together and one person speaks and the other person listens. Then somebody else speaks and somebody else listens. This is a miracle that we could even get to that point, much less. There's someone standing up now. I'm bigging everybody up for not standing up. I'm only joking. What I'm trying to say is, when we come together, miracles happen. And I don't know how many, 200 people in Zimbabwe. I don't know how many's on the 21 people, on Zoom. And that, when you add that up, that's 225 at least miracles are sitting in this room right now. And I love, the symbol that was spoken about, self, society, service, God, all leading up to a point of freedom. When I come to Narcotics Anonymous, I was trapped by the disease of addiction. I was trapped. I never came. Everyone's got different stories, and it says in our literature, we don't care where you came from, how much you had, how little. We don't care about all of that. We've all got different stories, but I can, I will say that we must have reached a level of pain in order to want to seek recovery. No one just has a good idea and thinks, oh, let me just go to a 12-step meeting, or let me just put myself into treatment. No, we end up in that position because we are broken. The literature says that when we are broken, we become willing. We become willing when we are broken. And I came in there absolutely traumatized. I was actually talking to a friend of mine recently, and he was talking about people who suffer from trauma, right? And I was saying, yeah, it must be so difficult for them. And he said, what do you mean for them? And I said, well, the people who had gone through traumatic experiences and they're suffering from trauma. And he said, Aaron, you're a trauma survivor too. What we go through to get here is traumatic. I remember going to a therapy session, and there was all these different people there, and we had to do this thing called a trauma egg. And I remember listening to everybody's trauma egg, and people were listening to the stuff they'd been through, different walks of life, different things affected different people. And I drew my egg, and the whole room was crying, apart from me. I was like, what's the big deal? But I spoke about the getting and the using ways and means to get more, the jails, the institutions, the crack houses, the people turning up with guns. Do you know what I mean? My children being taken away, the stuff that happened. But emotionally, I was still cold. So they were all in tears. And I was thinking, well, that's just life, isn't it? It's not normal, guys. It's not normal. Many people, if they had gone through what we had been through, they wouldn't have survived it. The fact that we're still breathing, the fact that we're in a meeting, we are trauma survivors. We are overcomers. We are the lucky ones. We have got that golden ticket. We have an opportunity to have a second life. We have an opportunity to give a gift to other people who went through what we've been through and show them how we got out of it. Even if you have one day clean, even Johannesburg, even if you made it to the treatment center, you have a gift to show somebody how you got there, because there's so many people that are dying on the streets from this disease who never got to a treatment center. They never came to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. They never sat down quietly when the readings were being done. They never got a second chance. Like, this is serious business here, man. You know, disease of addiction ran through my family. They didn't use, my children didn't use, but they were affected by the disease of addiction indirectly because of my actions. The disease of addiction, it is a robber. It doesn't care if you don't want to use. It doesn't care if you do want to use. It's a darker, more powerful force than myself. The disease of addiction will take peace of mind from my mum. It will rob the peace of mind from my mum. The disease of addiction robbed a father away from my children. The disease of addiction robbed my dignity. The disease of addiction stole my spirituality, the little bit that I had. The disease of addiction never had the ability for me to work or be a productive member of society. The disease of addiction took away my hygiene. I couldn't wash properly. I couldn't do the basic things which people do. The disease of addiction took all that away from me. And I was still looking in the mirror saying, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. The disease of addiction gave me a cloak of denial. I never knew there was a program. I never knew there was a way out. My mom and other people took me to, paid money for, to top psychiatrists and to other people in order for me to get better. And after a while, they gave up hope that I would ever get better. I never in a million years would have thought that all I needed was other people who were just like me. I remember when I first done some step work with my sponsor, and he was talking about what he had been through. And I doubted I'd be able to stay clean with this guy. Because I was thinking, if you've been through what I've been through, you're just like me. How can you help me? You're the same. But this is where the miracle is. It's broken people who help broken people. With a higher power in the middle, miracles happen. It's a miracle. And listen, some people need to go into treatment. They need to go into treatment. But let me just tell you that when you leave, there's a 24-hour treatment. And I say 24-hour because now we have the online meetings. We have meetings that go 24 hours a day. You can always tap in. NA, never alone. There's a lifeboat in the middle of the sea of isolation. You never, ever have to be alone again. We're achieving the unachievable. We're breaking boundaries down. We're confusing people who have masters in addiction field. They're baffled by what we do. We're putting people out of business, and we're doing that all for free. We're doing that all for free because we understand that it was given to us for free. The program of Narcotics Anonymous, the 12-step program, has absolutely transformed my life, and my friends all in recovery experiencing the same thing. It transformed our lives tremendously. Now, does that mean that I don't have parts of me that I don't like? Does that mean I'm Mr. Perfect, Mr. Spiritual? No, I'm not. if you was a fly on the wall in my house, certain days I'd be hiding in shame. I've spoke at meetings and people have clapped and said, this guy he's spiritually on top. And I've closed the computer and shouted at my missus, or said something that I shouldn't have said to my kids, or haven't picked up the phone. You know, so on any given day, I could suffer from the disease of addiction. You know, I'm still a work in progress, still a work in progress. And that's why I keep coming back. I keep coming back. I keep coming back. I've got a mind that forgets very, very easily. That's why we read the readings at every single meeting. I'm somebody who needs to keep being reminded. The Just for Today reading today was about spiritual growth. It spoke about we never stay stagnant in recovery, right? So it doesn't matter, Johannesburg guys and the guys that are on Zoom, it doesn't matter, right? If you have 1 day or 3,000 days, it's the same disease that needs treatment. So I read my Just for Today. I do my inventory. I reach out to different people in recovery. You know, I have a personal daily program that I try to keep. And if I stop doing that program, I don't just stay where I am. I start to decline backwards. So there's no time length. I'm an asthmatic, right? I suffer with the disease of asthma. I'm 47 years of age. I've been taking my asthma inhaler for 47 years. If I stop taking my asthma inhaler tomorrow, by Friday, I'll have asthma attack, because that's the condition that I suffer with. So what I'm trying to say here is there is no ceiling. There is no graduation. What we do here is a way of life. It's a way of life. I'm never, ever going to get good enough. I'm never going to be able to unaddict myself. I'm an addict. I haven't got an issue with being an addict, because being an addict has put me on a spiritual plane that I would have never been on if I didn't have the disease of addiction. Being an addict means that it doesn't necessarily mean about money and external stuff. It means that my experience helps other people not just stay clean, but stay alive. That baffles me. The guy that was always in prison, the guy, my family used to lock their doors when they see me. That guy has experience that can help somebody stay alive. Because we talk about staying clean, but I want to talk about staying alive. We get to stay alive. Why do I say alive and not clean? Because I was dying out there. I was dying, not just physically, but emotionally. Not just physically, but spiritually. I was dying. The literature talks about that as well. It talks about dying, different types of death. You know? So what this program did, it energized me. My battery, like my phone, my battery was low. Narcotics Anonymous put the charger in and pressed the switch and started to charge my battery. And I became alive again, man. I became alive. Now, if I disconnect my phone charger, my battery it doesn't die automatically. But after a while, it starts to die. That's why I've learned to stay doing what I'm doing. I came into Narcotics Anonymous with a partner. Me and my partner used to use together. We were crazy when we were used together. We were absolutely crazy. The dealers did not want us inside the crack house. Imagine that. You have money to spend, and they are saying no, because they know when the money runs out, me and my partner, we are going to be trouble. So keep your money and keep the doors closed, crackheads. Don't let these two in. That's what they used to say. My partner's now my wife, and she reminded me the other day of when I was, I think maybe we were in our first month, right? and she's trying her best to stay clean, trying her best. And she's invited me to this strange place called Narcotics Anonymous. And she said, you got to come. You can't use any drugs. She said, don't use. Just come to the meeting, right? So I've come to the meeting. I said, I'm not going to use any drugs. I'm just going to drink, right? She didn't know that I thought she didn't know that I had a drink. After the meeting, she said, Aaron, have you had a drink? I said, no. She said, don't lie to me. Have you had a drink? I said, I have not had a drink. She said, you've had a drink. I said, how do you know I've had a drink? I said, vodka doesn't even smell. She reminded me, that's what I said to her. That's how insane I was, man. That's how insane I was. You know, I come from like, you know, not a bad upbringing. I never had a father. And, you know, and through doing step work and looking at myself, because, you know, when we talk about the disease of addiction, you know, the first layer, the symptom is our uncontrollable drug use. Once we take the drugs away, we still have the disease of addiction. And some people say it's nature. Some people say it's nurture. But I'm not really concerned how I got it. I just know that I have it, man. I never had any type of role model in my life. I never had my dad. So, you know, I found other role models that were on the street. That's how I got introduced to using. And once I got clean, man, I spent many, many years not talking to my dad. My dad lives in the jungle in Guyana. And through doing this 12-step program, I got to a point a couple of years ago that I wanted to go and visit my dad. I hadn't seen him for like 26 years, maybe. I don't know how many. It was definitely around the 25-year mark. And I thought, I'm going to go over and I'm going to see my dad, because I made amends to my children. And I never gave him an opportunity to make amends to me. I hadn't spoke to him for many years, and he invited me over to come and see him, and I rejected it. And a few years later, I started thinking I should have gone to see him. So I decided I was going to jump on a plane. I jumped on a plane a couple of years ago. I think it might have been during the lockdown. And I flew over in the middle of the jungle, Guyana, on my own to meet my dad, man. And I met my dad, and my dad's got Alzheimer's. He started to struggle with Alzheimer's, and I held his hand, and he remembers me somewhat, but not totally. And I met his wife. His wife has been looking after him for the last 10 years. He's become very, very ill, been looking after him, you know, and they live in very poor conditions, you know, and I left. And when I left, they stayed in contact with me, not so much my dad, but his wife. And I got a phone call recently to say that she's dying and she needs an operation. And they couldn't, you know, they couldn't get it together for her to get the operation. And I really don't want to make this about me, but let's put it this way. I managed to be a part of her getting the operation for her to stay alive. She had the operation last week. The operation went well, and she's not going to die. That woman is the only carer for my father. Indirectly, that's the amends to my dad. Because if she dies, there'll be no one to look after my father. He can't even get on a plane. You know, they live in very poor conditions. You know, and so I speak to my brothers and sisters, and I explain to them the situation, and nobody wants to know anything, because they said he wasn't there for us when we were growing up. So why should we be there for him? You know, and the crackhead, you know, the person who didn't care for anybody, because of you guys, I've got a different understanding. It's not about what my dad did or didn't do for me. It's about what I'm doing as a son for my dad. And I share that because it's not, as I said, just about the using. When the using goes, we work on ourselves, and then the thinking changes. So my thinking has changed. On Christmas Day, I was with my family. We had all of the Christmas shirts, you know, the Christmas thing. There was about 30 of us taking pictures, all that great stuff. I can't believe I'm allowed in my mum's house no more. No more. I'm allowed in my mum's house now. I can't believe I wasn't allowed before. We took all these pictures, fantastic. Then we had this phone call, and my auntie died. My auntie had died on Christmas Day, just gone. So there was a somber mood, obviously. Now, the family were really angry with her children. They said they didn't look after her right. This is the reason why she's passed. They didn't care for her. Everyone's angry. No one wants to support her children, even though they lost their mum. But I said, I'm going to go and see them. Because regardless of what they've done or what they haven't done, they've just lost their mum, man. My family, again, are looking at me confused because they're thinking, well, hang on a minute. They're part of why she's dead. They never looked after her properly. But the program of Narcotics Anonymous has changed my thinking. Because it's not about how they looked after their mum. It's about how I look after them. Everything changes in recovery. You stay here long enough. You listen long enough. You read long enough. You do step work long enough. You change. We change. We become different people. The literature talks about we get put in places in society which we never would have been in before. We never would have been. It says that we become an asset to our families. You know, our family, we're no longer an embarrassment. We're no longer a burden. Like this program does so much more than just staying clean. I spoke earlier about, you know, a boat. We're a lifeboat in a sea of isolation. Do you know when the lockdown happened? My brother lives alone, my sister lives alone, and they were going insane because everyone had to quarantine. No one was allowed out. They were going insane. No contact, no support, no nothing. What was we doing in Narcotics Anonymous? We had hundreds and hundreds of meetings on Zoom. We were connecting with each other from different parts of the world. We were helping each other. Narcotics Anonymous exploded. It exploded. This is the reason why now I get to be with the Whitport boys right now, because the connection has been made where I can be sitting in Turkey and I'm sharing experience, strength, and hope to people that are in Zimbabwe. That's insane. I don't know where Paul is, maybe probably in Aberdeen somewhere. I know there's people from different parts of the world and we're all here together helping each other stay clean. And when we get clean, we get to do the stuff that it says in step 12. It says, if you don't know, that we practice these principles in all our affairs. So we affect each other's lives. We affect each other's lives in a positive way, but we don't just affect each other's lives here in NA. We go out into the world and we affect our families, our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our communities, people at work. People recognize there's something different. Do we go through pain? Yes, we do. Do we go through struggles? Yes, we do. But we have an anchor. We have something we can hold on to. We have a program. We have a way of living that makes the world better. That makes the world better. Now, Narcotics Anonymous was the last thing that I tried and the only thing that seems to be working. Only thing that seems to be working. I'm still enthusiastic about my recovery. I'm still enthusiastic. I'm still in awe about what this program's done in my life. This program keeps on teaching me and teaching me and teaching me. If anyone's been through the program, the 9th step is about making an amends. And I've just done a 9th step and I've been looking at the amends which I need to make to my family. I need to make amends to my family. I'm still learning how to be a father, you know, but I don't just make it up from like the people I see on the streets like I used to do. No, now I've got people who have grown, people who I trust that I can go to and give me, I take on suggestions on how to be a father. I got married in recovery. I got married and then I started to learn how to be a husband. You know, I learned how to work. And I wasn't working. Listen, I was going to prison so much that every single time I left, all of the prison officers would laugh and say, I'll see you next month. And I'll think, I'm not coming back next month. How dare they say that? and I'll be back next month. That's how, this is what the disease did to me. So I'm not one of these addicts that take what we do for granted. I'm not one of these addicts, because I know that there's people that are dying from this disease that I know personally. People, I've been to funerals of people that have died because they didn't manage to get this program. If you are here, if you are listening, you've just now been given keys to freedom. Keys to freedom. I can't say what's going to happen on every person's road of recovery. There's only one promise, and that is freedom from active addiction. But if you have freedom from active addiction, naturally it opens the doors for so much more. So much more. Listen, I'm one grateful addict, and I'm not going to swallow all the time. I just wanted to share a little bit of what this program has done in my life. My name's Aaron. I'll leave it there.
Wonderful, Aaron. Thank you so much. I don't know if we can unmute everyone so we can thank Aaron for his wonderful share.
Nice one, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
It was fantastic, Aaron. Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thanks a lot, Aaron.
Great. Okay. Or are you guys unmuting? There you go. Great, guys. Thank you so much.